Hi, one of my favorite things that I love to do when I am making some watercolor cards, especially with Brusho, is playing with the actual medium. So playing with my colors. So I put on the Oswald red here, and then I moved on to this new Gamboge yellow, and then I went into the green moss. And then on top of that, I sprinkled it with some of that Brusho, the Sprinkle It Brusho, to give it some iridescent qualities. I think you can maybe see the iridescent, but it really gives a really cool shine to it. And I just love playing with them. And then when you get more experienced, you can come up with almost like a landscape, whereas like I could cut this in half and make this into a card and stamp some landscape elements, and that would look like a really cool card, right? And so it's all about playing with your colors and really getting some neat effects. Like I just love this part. It looks like a sunrise or a sunset in the sky with the with the foreground in the front. So it's kind of fun. And then you can also just make some really fun textures. And I know this is probably basic, but you know, I'll spend an afternoon making these card panels, and then I have 20 card panels to do something with when I just want to stamp. And so a lot of times my workflow is that way. I'll take an afternoon and I'll play with color, and then I'll take another afternoon and I'll stamp sentiments on things. So let me show you what I mean. So for example, this one could totally turn into a card like this. Isn't that gorgeous? It's so much fun, and it's just one stamp set, but it just really works well. And then I just glue it onto a card base, which I will show you later on the assembly part. And then you can stamp a sentiment inside the card if you would like. Really simple, but really elegant. And let the stamp and the watercolor or the color work together. That's really what this is about. So here's another example. I will show you how to do a beach scene. I just love it. I played with two different colors, or more than two different colors, but two different, I got my cooler colors up here, my warmer colors down here to make a beach and the ocean. And what a fun one this is, huh? I can't wait to show you how I did this one. But again, it was a lot with color play. I wouldn't have gotten this beach if I didn't play with this. And so this is what led to that. And so sometimes color play really is worth your time, even if you are thinking, I just want to make a card real quick. Make a card and have fun with it. Don't rush the process. And then there was this one where I wanted to play with my greens and my yellows, and I got this, and I knew that I knew I had some silhouette stamps that would really work with this. So I can't wait to show you how I use color play. And so let's get started. I think this is a great way to just spend an afternoon. So I have watercolor paper, and it's the same texture on both sides, and it doesn't really matter what side. Some watercolor paper will have a smooth side and a tooth, more of a tooth side or a textured side. Either way is fine. If you know you're gonna be stamping, choose the smoother side. It will make your life a little bit easier when you're stamping. So to get started, we're just gonna play. And what I like to do is, I'll show you two different ways I like to play with my Brusho. So this is cut to 4. This is 4 inches by 11 inches. And I can get 2 card bases or 2 card panels. When I say card panels, panels that I will glue onto the card base. Okay. And now this is gonna maybe warp a little bit, and I don't really want that, so I'm gonna spray my surface down. And then I'm going to lightly just press it down. There we go. All right, and since it's already, I'm just gonna spray it, and that's okay. This is your deal. You get to play with it however you want. So I used Oswalt red in the first one. And with my brushes, I just write the name of my color on top, and I poked 3 holes. And as you can see, I haven't actually opened my brushes yet. You don't really have to when you're using this for cards. Maybe in the so here's, and then I did some New Gamboge. And New Gamboge is really a fun color. This is actually one that I just got. Never find. I always have to look through all of them. New Gamboge. And why not put it? I also, when I'm playing with color, I like to see what the 2 colors do together. And you're never going to get the same result. I'm never going to get this same result. And that's okay. I don't necessarily want to, because I can always find something else to play. And I'm spraying very, very lightly. I'm using this water spray bottle, distress sprayer. You don't have to. You can use whatever you'd like. I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. I really love using yellow for color play because it just kind of, like, it's my one color that I can tie everything into. And I think the more you play with color, the more you find your color that can just, like, I don't know, unify everything. This is my color. Yellow is my color. New Gamboge, lemon yellow. It doesn't matter. It's all gonna be, like, it's all gonna work. So there's my green. And I want some texture, so I don't want to spray all of it all the time, right? So here's, and I'm being pretty strategic on where I want my water. And a lot of this is just intuitive. I have a lot of red right here, so maybe I'll lift this up and just move it around. I'm trying to see how I'm moving it around. That's really cool. And I also have a washcloth or a paper towel handy because I don't really want stuff to get in the way. I don't want pigment to get in the way. And I will say that brushos, if you're not used to using brushos, it is kind of a messy process, so keep that in mind when you're playing with brushos. It's supposed to be messy, but look at that texture. Oh, it's so pretty. So now that I kind of see what I like, what I don't like, I can go in and add a little bit more. I'm going to add some green right here. This is actually New Gamboge. I picked that up instead of green, but that's okay. Like I said, my New Gamboge is what, like, ties everything together. It's my unifier. And now I can add a little bit more texture because it's not so wet that it's gonna keep, and I just tap, 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 there. All right, and then I don't really want that red to get into, so I'm just gonna clean that up like that. I think I like that. I'm gonna let it be. I think I can get a really cool card panel right here and one right here too. And I think if I might just add a little bit of water right there. Whenever you add water, the brushos are gonna wanna, like, burst. That's just part of what they do. And it's super fun, and you can't control it. It's not a control thing, but it is fun to play with. And I call this color play because that's really what we're doing. All right, so what I'll do is I'll do that with a bunch of other colors too. Let's do a cooler version. Okay. And as you can tell, I haven't even used my brushes yet, except for when I'm, but let's try something where I'm actually going to not use my, I'm going to put on pigment first and then, so I have, this is Ultramarine, and it's really one of my favorites because of, And I like to kind of go in a diagonal or in a V, or I like to have some kind of shape in mind. I don't know if it really matters, but in my mind it does. And when I shook it, you probably couldn't tell any pigment, and there's not really a whole lot. You can kind of maybe see a little bit, but it doesn't look like there's anything there. But there is. When I spray, here's my spray bottle. When I spray, it comes alive. Isn't that fun? Okay, now I'm going to try a different color. I'm going to try turquoise, because there's already some turquoise in here. I'm just adding onto it. And of course, if it hits water, it's already going to burst. Look at that. Now the more water I add, the more it's going to flow and the less texture you're going to get. So more water equals less texture. Less water equals more texture. And because I'm playing, I want to really be strategic where my stuff is. So I'm wiping off the excess water that I know I don't need. And then I'm going to go back and see how the ultramarine already looks kind of purpley. I'm going to add some more of that because I really like that. But I want the texture now that the water has kind of seeped into the paper. Kind of, isn't that fun? Okay. So then I'm thinking maybe we can go into purple down here. And at this point, I always like to see kind of where my pigment's at, because I'm sure that Brusho powder's got onto the paper, which is fine. Let's go with purple. And I want the purple to be part of this ultramarine, so it looks like it's just one big, blending. And again, I'm tapping, and this is, I would call this more of like a red purple, but you can see where I sprayed, because it's already where I sprayed. It wants to like burst. But I'm going to spray some more and really add, yeah, and because I really like that turquoise, and I think that turquoise is going to, again, like unify the purple and the blue, I'm going to put some turquoise in. And you can't always, you can't tell what Brusho is going to do. I did not expect Brusho to make this beautiful red and purple marble look right here. See, isn't that gorgeous? Like, I could not have expected that. And so that's why I say play with your colors. You don't know what you're going to get until you play. However, I want it to kind of slope down one side. I want it to really just mesh well. And sometimes that means adding a little bit more water. And that's okay, because it's yours. And you don't know, right now, this second, I don't know what I'm going to do with this card panel. I'm just enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the fact that I can put paint onto paper and see what comes of it. Sometimes I have a strategic plan, like my landscape, and I can't wait to show you that. But right now I'm just playing. I'm playing with the colors. And I think I want some more turquoise over here. We'll see. It might just make it, I want to unify everything. You can always go less and then more. And if you go too dark too fast, that's where a lot of people get frustrated, is I don't like Brushos because it never does what you want. Well, it does. You just have to remember that less is more. Less is more. Less is more. Less is more. The other thing that I really like about Brushos is that you can reactivate it with water. So once this is dry, if I don't like this right here, I could spray it and start over again. I really want to play a little bit more. I tried to do like three tries, right? This was one, the purple was another, this extra turquoise was another, and then this is my last bit that I'm going to try, and then I'm going to walk away. I'm not going to mess with it no more. And I got my tap, tap, tap going on. This is my purple. Yeah. And then you just let it, I always like to like watch it for about 5-10 seconds and then decide, okay, I need some more water, or maybe I don't. Maybe I really just like this texture and I want to leave it alone. Part of me says walk away. Part of me says, oh, just add a little bit more to spread it, to spread the love. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spread the love just a tiny bit. Spread that there. Now I really like that. And what a difference this will make. So there is, and if I don't like to put my watercolor paper down, because then like you could put a fine piece of like glue runner or glue tape on it, like double-sided sticky tape, and then it won't move. But with Brusho being the way it is, I really like having the opportunity to move it around, and so then I get that movement of pigment. I wouldn't have been able to get this movement of pigment if I wasn't able to move it around. So that's why I'm not taping it down to my work surface. I'm playing with it, and I'm using 140 watercolor paper anyway, so it really doesn't matter if I move it or not. It's gonna dry flat. It will dry flat like this. This is flat. So keep that in mind. Okay, so let's move on. I'm gonna try a couple more for you, just so you can have fun. I always like to call this, to start with, like watercolor exercise. That's a good name for it. We haven't tried orange, and orange and sandstone. So here's sandstone, and here's some orange, and we'll try lemon yellow. And I wanted to share with you most of these colors because, and we'll go with brilliant red. We'll get some red going on too. All right, so I'm going to, I also think about my lightest to darkest values. So I know that lemon yellow is pretty light, and then orange, and then sandstone, and then I call this brilliant red, I call bossy red, because it's going to overpower everything. So I'm going to use this last, and I'm going to use it very sparingly, and this is brilliant red, and it does. You want to use this very sparingly. It can cover the whole paper if you let it. So what I love about yellows is you can really get some beautiful texture, and I use yellows a lot for the base of like sunsets or sunrises. So let's get started. I'm just gonna tap, tap, tap some yellow, and I'm gonna maybe go through a whole line like this. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right now, I really like this. Today it's really gloomy and it's snowy out, and every time I put yellow on watercolor paper, it just makes my heart happy. And so sometimes, as artists or creatives, or even just anybody, we just need a way to like brighten up our spirits. And what better way to brighten up our spirits than to use yellow pigment on paper? It just makes me happy. Okay, orange. So I did lemon yellow all the way through, and it's kind of variegated. You can kind of see that it's very pale, but that's okay. It's supposed to. And so now I'm using my orange, and I'm gonna probably go wherever I feel. I'm just, again, kind of covering it because I'm going for texture more than I'm going for like a real reason. I'll show you how I would do like a rainbow setting in just a second, because I know rainbows are really fun to create when it comes to cards. And again, I'm always cleaning up my workspace because I don't want pigment where I don't, if I don't want orange somewhere, I don't want it to. And it is warping a little bit. That's okay. It's going to warp 140 watercolor paper. It's not going to do anything. I feel like we could use a lot more orange. I don't want too much, but just enough. Okay. Now Sandstone. Now Sandstone is, it kind of neutralizes things. I don't know. It's really kind of pretty. You can kind of see how it's just magic, you guys. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. It almost reminds me of like a marigold field or something. Yeah, you can make this almost into like a wildflower motif if you wanted to. I just think it's so pretty. And you can never predict, that's what I love about it, is you can never predict exactly what you're going to get. I'm going to add some more right here. Why not? And at this stage, I am very, very careful where I place water. I don't necessarily want it to be loose and fluid. I want that texture. All right, and because I really love this yellow, I'm going to leave this yellow the way it is. You can kind of see it. It just gives it a really cool atmospheric. That also works when I'm planning out my color plays, because I know I want to stamp a sentiment, or I know I'm going to want to stamp something. I usually leave a space pretty open. I call it like negative space or white space, where there's not much going on, because then I can stamp a sentiment like right up here if I wanted. That's something that I could totally do. But I do love this red, and I'm going to just kind of drop it in next to the sandstone, or I put the sandstone in there. And again, this is like bossy red, so I think I probably went too far, but we'll see. And then just add a tiny bit of red. If you don't like something, just spray more. It'll kind of go away. I love color play because there's no right or wrong way to do it. As long as you're putting color on the paper and you are experimenting with color, you are doing it right. And in art, you can't rush. You can't rush the process, and you have to really truly enjoy the process. Now up here is yellow, but I think I can make it, I want it to be a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to just add some more of that yellow. And then I'm going to again spray. Okay, I really like that. It reminds me of like fall flowers or something. It's beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful card panel when I'm done with it. Now, the thing to make it even more exciting is to add some of this. I'm going to add some of this Sprinkle It Gold, and it's iridescent powder. And I don't want a whole lot, but I want a little bit. And so you have to be kind of careful with it because you sprinkle it on and then you have to spray it again. And remember, when you spray, then the colors run together again. So I kind of like use it as my last finishing thing, piece, medium. So there we go. And then when it dries, it's going to have that metallic gold look to it. And it's going to be a really stunning card. I can't wait. So those are, and you can tell that this is already almost dried. Look at that. Isn't that cool? And then the other one that I just did, where did that one go? Oh, and this one's almost dry too. So you can tell that we have some really nice panels to start with. We have some really nice panels to start with, and I could go on and on with all the different colors. The other thing I like to do is to show you is I'll take some of my watercolor scrap. When I cut down my piece of watercolor, I usually have some kind of watercolor paper that's left over, which is good, right? You want to have excuses to play. At least I do. I'm always looking for excuses to play. So what I love to do is I'll take one of my favorite colors that's just really fun. And right now I am loving moss green. If you don't have this color, highly recommend getting it. All right, so I'm just going to sprinkle this on. I'm not thinking about where it's going. I'm just tapping and putting it on. Then I want to take copper, sprinkle it copper, and I'm going to tap that too. And it looks like the same color. Like I can't tell the difference between copper and moss green. And I'm probably put too much copper on, but we'll see. Let's see what happens. And then I just play with one color to see what all I can do with that one color. Ooh, look at that. It has purple in it. Isn't that neat? Okay, so I'm not done yet. I want to keep with my moss green. I don't see much of the copper. I'm gonna have to, I see a little bit. It's very faint. I was hoping for more. And so what I like to do when I play is one side I'll have like a really thick pigmentation on this side. And I'll start like that. And then I'll add more water to see how it flows. And then I just watch it flow. And it's really fun to just watch it flow. And while I watch it flow, I'm going to add some more copper. Oh, see? That works. And it's just a lot of play. And it's so much fun. And the more you play, the more ideas you get. Isn't that pretty? And really that's the case. And it sounds simple, but I would always get annoyed. I would get very annoyed when my art teachers would say, you just need to play. Just go and play with your mediums, with your ideas. And I thought, that's not how you get better, but that really is how you get to become more of an artist, is by playing and saying the what ifs. So this might seem counterintuitive, like why are you making me do all these little card panels? But can't you see this being like a part of a forest floor or something? And because I took the time to play with this, that's how I got this landscape piece. Isn't that neat? So in my next lesson, I'm going to show you kind of how I like to play with landscapes with brushos to get some of those other cards that I like. So play with your colors, come up with 4 or 5 different strips that you can later on use in the class with sentiments and background stamps, and I'll be back.